Welcome to Arsenal Daily, your #1 source for everything Arsenal. Welcome everyone and thank you so much for being here. Whether you have been part of the Arsenal Daily community for a long time or you are joining us for the very first time today, you are in the right place. Arsenal Daily exists for one reason only: to give every single Arsenal fan honest, passionate, and clear coverage of this great club every single day. The wins, the losses, the big moments, the drama, the transfers, the debates. We cover it all and we cover it the right way. Before we get into today's story, please head over to the Arsenal Daily YouTube channel right now and subscribe. Thousands of Gooners already trust the channel as their #1 home for Arsenal content every single day. The analysis is honest, the reaction is real, and the community is one of the best in football. Hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and join us. Because today we have one of the most incredible stories of the entire season to break down for you. And trust us, you do not want to miss a single word of this one. 22 years. One goal. And a title that is now so close you can almost touch it. Close your eyes for a moment and think about what 22 years actually feels like. Think about everything that has happened in the world in 22 years. Think about how much your own life has changed. Think about how many times you have sat in front of a television or inside a stadium watching Arsenal and daring to believe that this might be the season. This might be the year. This might be the moment when the wait finally ends. Arsenal fans have been carrying that weight for 22 years. Since the famous invincible season of 2003 to 2004, when Arsenal went the entire Premier League campaign without losing a single game, there has been no league title. There have been FA Cups. There have been near misses. There have been seasons full of hope that ended in heartbreak. There have been managerial changes and squad rebuilds and moments of real progress. But the Premier League title has stayed out of reach. Until now. Because today, on Sunday the 10th of May 2026, Arsenal beat West Ham United 1-0 at the London Stadium and moved to within touching distance of the most important trophy English football has to offer. A first Premier League title in 22 years is no longer a dream. It is not even just a probability. Right now, looking at every number, every fixture, every possible scenario, it is the most likely thing that is about to happen in English football. Today on Arsenal Daily, we are going to break down absolutely everything. The game itself, minute by minute. The goal that won it. The saves that kept it alive. The VAR drama that had every single person in the country talking for hours after the final whistle. The title race maths that show exactly how close Arsenal are. And the bigger picture of what this moment means for this club, these players, and every Arsenal fan who has been waiting and believing for 2 decades. This is the blog post you have been waiting for all season. Let us get into it. The scene was set for drama before a single ball was kicked. The build-up to this game told you everything about how much was at stake for both clubs. Arsenal came into the match on 76 points. Manchester City had beaten Brentford 3-0 the day before and were sitting 5 points behind on 74 points but with a game in hand. Pep Guardiola, in what felt like a desperate attempt to influence things from outside, had publicly told West Ham fans to do their club and their city proud. He effectively begged them to beat Arsenal. Some called it gamesmanship. Some called it a compliment. Whatever it was, it told you how worried City were about what might happen at the London Stadium. West Ham on the other side were in the relegation zone. Manager Nuno Espirito Santo had done a solid job of steadying the ship after a dreadful start to the season, and the Hammers had put together some decent results. They beat Tottenham. They beat Newcastle away from home. But they were still not safe. They came into this match knowing that a win could be the lifeline that kept them in the Premier League. For their supporters, this was one of the most important home games in recent memory. 2 clubs. Arsenal needing 3 points to extend their lead and move another huge step towards the title. West Ham needing 3 points to breathe a little easier in the survival battle. The London Stadium was packed. The atmosphere was electric. And the game that followed delivered every bit of drama the occasion demanded. Do you remember where you were watching this game? Because this is one of those matches that Arsenal fans will be talking about for a very long time. The first half, Arsenal in control but not yet clinical. Mikel Arteta set his team up in their now familiar shape. Arsenal had the ball from the very first whistle. They moved it quickly. They played with purpose. And Leandro Trossard was right at the heart of the early action. In the opening exchanges, Trossard had a header from a corner parried away smartly by Mads Hermansen in the West Ham goal. And then moments later, after more brilliant Arsenal pressure, Trossard was involved again as another effort came back off the post. The goal was being threatened. The goal was being created. But it was not going in. Then the game changed slightly in a way that made Arsenal fans nervous. Ben White went down with an injury and had to come off. This was a blow because White had been solid in the right-back role and his absence forced Arteta to reshuffle. Declan Rice dropped to right-back with Martin Zubimendi coming on to fill the midfield gap. It was a sensible solution, but it slightly disrupted the flow of what Arsenal had been building. West Ham sensed the change. They started to get more of the ball. Tomas Soucek became more aggressive in midfield. And just before half-time, the game had its most dangerous moment for Arsenal. Aaron Wan-Bissaka broke down the right side and delivered a cross to Valentin Castellanos. The header was powerful. It was going in. And then David Raya flew across his line and made a save that was quite simply outstanding. That save was the save of the match. Possibly the save of the season. Because in a game this tight and this tense, going into halftime a goal down would have been potentially season-defining in the worst possible way. Raya reached the ball, he got down quickly, and he kept it out. Arsenal were level at halftime. And the title race was still intact. Take a moment to think about that. Without that Raya save, this blog would have a very different tone right now. Arteta gets it right at halftime and Arsenal are reborn. The team that came out for the second half looked different. Arteta had fixed the imbalance created by White's injury. Declan Rice was back in the middle of the pitch where he belongs. Piero Hincapié came on to play right back. Miles Lewis-Skelly shifted to left back. The shape was restored. The control was back. And Arsenal began to look like themselves again. But West Ham were not done. They continued to make it difficult. Their defensive organization was tight. They pressed when they could. And the chances for Arsenal kept either going wide, hitting the woodwork, or being cleared off the line in moments that had Arsenal fans covering their eyes. Bukayo Saka tried a couple of long-range efforts that flew over the bar. Arteta's frustration was visible on the touchline. This was the kind of afternoon where nothing would go in for the best team on the pitch. Where the goalkeeper was making saves. Where the posts were doing the defending. Where the ball simply would not behave. With the game still goalless in the 70th minute, Arteta went to his bench again. Martin Odegaard came on. Kai Havertz came on. Fresh legs and fresh creativity. Arsenal pushed and pushed and pushed. The crowd at the away end never stopped believing. The players on the pitch never stopped running. And then in the 83rd minute everything changed. The goal, Trossard, Odegaard, and the moment that lit up the title race. This is the moment that every Arsenal fan who is watching today will remember forever. Odegaard received the ball inside the West Ham penalty area. He was composed. He looked up. He saw Trossard making the run. And he slid a perfectly weighted cutback across the face of goal that was as good a delivery as you will see anywhere in football this season. But here is the detail that makes this even more remarkable. Just moments before Trossard scored, David Raya made yet another crucial save. Mateus Fernandes broke into the Arsenal penalty area at close range and looked certain to put West Ham ahead. It was a one-on-one situation. Raya came off his line, stayed big, spread himself, and denied Fernandes brilliantly. From that save Arsenal broke up the pitch quickly, the ball worked its way to Odegaard, and then to Trossard. From a save at one end, to a goal at the other. In the space of maybe 30 seconds. That is football at its most breathtaking. Trossard met the Odegaard cutback with the calmest of finishes and the ball was in the net before Hermansen could even react. The away end went absolutely wild. Players ran to the corner to celebrate. The bench celebrated with pure joy. And Mikel Arteta raised his fist because he knew. Everyone knew. This was the goal that could win Arsenal the Premier League title. The fact that Trossard had gone 14 Premier League appearances without scoring before today makes it even more poetic. This is what great players do. They keep working. They keep showing up. They keep making runs and being available. And when the moment matters most, they deliver. Leandro Trossard, you absolute hero. Then came the drama that stopped the world. If the game had ended at 1-0 in the 83rd minute and the final whistle had blown cleanly, this would have been a wonderful story. A hard-fought win. A brilliant goal. A title race swinging decisively in Arsenal's favor. But football does not work like that. And in the 95th minute, when most people thought the formalities were just about to be completed, West Ham produced a moment that made 62,000 fans inside the London Stadium lose their minds completely. A corner came in. Callum Wilson attacked it in the Arsenal box. The ball ended up in the net. The stadium erupted. West Ham players were sprinting to the fans. Arms were in the air. People were screaming. 62,000 people experienced a moment of the most intense football emotion possible. A 95th-minute equalizer against Arsenal that could have saved their season. And then referee Chris Kavanagh held up play. VAR was checking the goal. The celebrations stopped. The noise turned into something anxious and confused. Everyone waited. And after what felt like an extremely long review, the decision came. Goal disallowed. Pablo had grabbed David Raya by the neck as the goalkeeper went to jump and claim the ball. Raya had been impeded. The contact was on his neck. Not his chest. Not his shoulder. His neck. And that physical contact affected his ability to claim the ball. In any league in the world, that is a foul. The rules of football are very clear that goalkeepers have the right to claim the ball in their own area without being grabbed or held. Pablo's arm across Raya's neck is not incidental contact. It is a clear hold. And the VAR officials looked at it and applied the law correctly. Arsenal won 1-0. The title race shifted massively. And the debate about the VAR decision ran on for hours after the final whistle. West Ham manager Nuno Espirito Santo said after the game that he was disheartened. Captain Jared Bowen said the decision felt completely wrong to him and that it was heartbreaking for everyone in the building. Those feelings are understandable. Nobody is dismissing the pain of West Ham fans and players in that moment. It was brutal timing for a club fighting for their lives. But feelings do not change the facts. The law was applied correctly. Arsenal got what they deserved. And the title race took a massive turn in the right direction. Gary Neville called it the biggest VAR moment in Premier League history. Think about that. The biggest. Ever. And it went in Arsenal's favor. David Raya, the unsung hero of the season. We need to stop and give David Raya the appreciation he fully deserves. Because in a game where Arsenal's attack was not at its best, where the chances were not flowing, where the team needed someone to stand up and be counted, Raya was the player who kept Arsenal alive. The save from Castellanos just before halftime. The save from Fernandes just before Trossard scored. 2 moments where a different goalkeeper might not have done enough. 2 moments where Raya was decisive. 2 moments that, when you trace back the chain of events, were the reason Arsenal won this football match. Raya has been between the posts for Arsenal all season, and his level has been extraordinary. He is calm under pressure. He commands his area. He plays with the ball at his feet with real quality. He makes the big saves when they matter most. And today, on arguably the biggest afternoon of Arsenal's season so far, he was the player who made the difference. He won the Premier League Golden Glove last season. He won it the season before that. Back-to-back seasons as the best goalkeeper in the division. And now he is sitting at the center of a VAR controversy that has put him on the front pages of every football website in the country. David Raya is not just a good goalkeeper. He is one of the best goalkeepers in the world right now. And every single Arsenal fan should appreciate exactly what they have between those posts. The maths. What the numbers mean for the title. Let us talk about the numbers now because they tell an incredibly exciting story. Arsenal are on 79 points. Manchester City are on 74 points. Arsenal are 5 points clear. Arsenal have 2 games left. City have 3 games left. If Arsenal win both of their remaining games, they will finish on 85 points. City cannot reach 85 points even if they win all 3 of their remaining games. The maximum City can reach is 83 points. 2 Arsenal wins means it is mathematically impossible for anyone to overtake them. The title would be theirs no matter what else happens. Arsenal's 2 remaining games are at home against already relegated Burnley and away at Crystal Palace. Burnley are down. They have nothing left to play for this season. That home game should be the most comfortable remaining fixture Arsenal could have asked for. Crystal Palace away is trickier, but Palace will also have their minds on their upcoming Conference League final against Rayo Vallecano just 3 days after that Arsenal game. They will not be risking key players unnecessarily. Manchester City's remaining fixtures are much harder. They host Crystal Palace in midweek. They travel to Bournemouth. And they face Aston Villa on the final day of the season at the Etihad. All 3 of those games carry real risk for City. Crystal Palace are a good team. Bournemouth have had a strong season. And Aston Villa are always dangerous. Arsenal also hold a superior goal difference to City. Arsenal plus 52. City plus 48. A 4-goal cushion that means even if the teams somehow ended on equal points, Arsenal would win the title based on goal difference alone without needing to go to any further tiebreakers. To win 4 points from 2 games. To beat Burnley at home and get something from Palace away. That is all Arsenal need to be confirmed Premier League champions. It is genuinely and honestly within their grasp. Could this finally be the moment Arsenal fans have been waiting 22 years for? Based on everything the numbers are telling us right now, the answer is yes. The Champions League final adds even more magic. As if all of this was not enough, Arsenal are also in the Champions League final. On the 30th of May, 6 days after the Premier League season ends, Arsenal face Paris Saint-Germain in Budapest for the greatest prize in European football. Arsenal have reached only their 2nd Champions League final in their history. They were knocked out at the semi-final stage by PSG the season before. They got through this season by beating Atletico Madrid in the semi-finals after previously defeating Barcelona 3-2 on aggregate in the previous round. These were huge European nights that reminded every supporter watching exactly what this Arsenal team is capable of. PSG are the current Champions League holders. They are formidable opponents. But so are Arsenal. And if Mikel Arteta can guide the squad to the Premier League title and then go on to win the Champions League in Budapest, it would be one of the greatest achievements in the history of English football. A domestic and European double. A feat that only a handful of clubs in the history of the game have ever managed. That double dream is alive. The Premier League part of it has never been closer. And every Arsenal fan reading this right now has every right to believe that both trophies are genuinely within reach. How does that feel? 22 years of waiting. And now standing on the edge of the greatest season in the club's modern history. The West Ham situation and the pain on the other side. We should acknowledge that while Arsenal celebrate, West Ham are in a very painful place right now. Today's result has left the Hammers 4 points behind Tottenham in 17th place with just 2 games remaining. Tottenham beat Leeds on Monday night, which confirmed that gap. West Ham need to win both of their remaining games and hope Spurs drop points. That is a very difficult set of circumstances. Nuno Espirito Santo has worked hard this season to give West Ham a chance of survival. They have produced some impressive individual performances and some really good wins. But the early season disaster cost them too many points, and today's defeat, which came so close to being a point, feels like a crushing blow to their hopes. The biggest cruelty of today is that West Ham were not bad. They were organized. They were dangerous. They created chances. They had a goal disallowed in circumstances that feel incredibly harsh even if they were technically correct. A team that gave everything and walked away with nothing to show for it. Football can be brutally unfair sometimes. Every Arsenal fan can celebrate today's win. But there is no harm in also acknowledging what the other side of this result looks like for 62,000 people who left the London Stadium broken. The questions the Arsenal Daily community needs to answer. Here are the big questions we want every single person in this community to debate right now. Is this the year? Not as a question filled with doubt, but as a genuine and honest question about what you believe. Looking at the fixtures, looking at the points, looking at City's schedule and looking at Arsenal's, do you believe Arsenal will win the Premier League title? And if they do win it, and if they then go to Budapest and beat PSG to win the Champions League, where does that place this Arsenal team and Mikel Arteta in the history of this club? Is it the greatest Arsenal achievement since the Invincibles? Is it better than the Invincibles because of the European element? That is a conversation worth having. Also, Leandro Trossard scored the winner today after going 14 Premier League games without a goal. Sometimes players who have not been scoring recently find their moment in the biggest game. Has Trossard proved today that he is the right man to be in this Arsenal squad when it counts most? And finally, what about David Raya for Player of the Year? He has won back-to-back Golden Gloves. He has made crucial saves all season. He was the reason Arsenal stayed in this game today. Does a goalkeeper deserve the overall Player of the Year award, and has Raya done enough to be in that conversation this season? Let us know your answers in the comments. This is the Arsenal Daily community, and this is exactly the kind of debate we love to have. Final thoughts. This is Arsenal's moment. West Ham 0, Arsenal 1. Leandro Trossard, 83 minutes. David Raya the hero in goal. A disallowed equalizer in the 95th minute. 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League. 2 games to go. And a first title in 22 years within touching distance. This is Arsenal's moment. This is what the last several years of building and developing and working under Mikel Arteta have been leading towards. This is what the signings, the tactics, the belief, the work on the training ground, the development of young players, the big moments in Europe, all of it has been heading towards. 22 years of waiting. And now Arsenal are standing right on the edge of something that will live in the memory of every supporter forever. Beat Burnley at home. Get something from Crystal Palace away. And the Premier League trophy comes back to the Emirates Stadium for the first time since the greatest team this country has ever produced went an entire season unbeaten. Arsenal Daily will be here for every single moment of what comes next. Every game. Every goal. Every celebration. Every piece of analysis and reaction that this incredible run to the end of the season deserves. Thank you for reading today's blog. If this got your heart pumping and your mind racing, please share it with every Arsenal fan you know. Let them feel the excitement. Let them feel the belief. Let them feel what it means to be an Arsenal fan right now in May 2026. And for all the daily Arsenal content you could ever want, delivered honestly and passionately every single day, please head over to the Arsenal Daily YouTube channel. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Join the community. And be part of this moment together. We have been waiting 22 years for this. The wait is almost over. Come on, Arsenal.